So in the last two classes, we were seeing about the SQL part, different types of SQL queries, and today we'll be seeing more SQL queries. Most probably by today will be completed all the select queries. Okay, from tomorrow we'll be starting with the reports. Reports are nothing but the classical reports. So these are till now what we discussed. These are the programming basics. So whatever the things which we developed from the tomorrow, those are the real world which you received in the project perspective or you used in the ABAP site. Those things plays
Okay.
major role. So one of the query we are having the okay, one of the query. So as of now, we will only move to the data to the internal table so that I will have the multiple records, right? So what if I want to get single record only? What if I want to get only single record? When you want to get the single record, so you have to use the concept of, for example, select single. Okay, select single. Select single is used to get the single record from the database. Okay. For example, this select single also will be having the two categorizations. Getting the single record for the selected fields, like how we selected previously EBL and BSCRT, AEDAT. Or the second categorization is getting the one record for all the fields, like select star, but I want to get only single record. So that's the difference. Star means all the records. These are the two categorizations in the select single. Let me write down the, let me see whether we have internal table. Right. Yes, we'll able to write. Select single. Okay, select single. For example, I want to get the single record only for particular field, for selected fields. For example, EBLN, BSART, AETAT, ERNA, from EKKO. Okay, so into LS EKKO. So as of now, we are not declared that. Okay, we are not declared that. So see, whenever you are going to get the single record, so you that in the query itself, the table is not coming into the picture. Okay, because single record is for the work area. It's the fixed one. Whenever you want the multiple records, in that cases only you are using the concept of internal table. Even though if I use the table, it's not accept. Okay, if I see the single is in black color. So previously it was in blue color, right? So if I check the syntax, I'll get error. See, LDEKKO is unknown. In this also LSEKKO is not allowed here. Okay. So firstly, let me declare this LSEKKO. LSEKKO type EKKO. Okay, let me comment out this thing. We don't have any internal table. Okay, see, LSEKKO is not allowed here. So whenever you are using the into table, it should be an internal table. Otherwise, it's not going to be accepted. Whenever you are using only into, so that is referring the work area. Work area will store the single record. Okay, if I remove this, If I remove this, so it's saying not compatible, you are not following the hierarchy corresponding fields of. So now I'm not getting any error. So if I execute this, I'll get single record. Why I'm getting this record? If I cross-check this data, how it's maintained, what is the first record which is there in the database table?
And if we directly do this, then we will get the last record, right? Whatever written into the work
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
And what's the help of this corresponding fields of?
If you're not following how the SAP is following, because in the table level, there will be a hierarchy. So EBLN, BUKRS, BST, like that will be a fields, right? You have to follow that sequence when you're trying to retrieve the data, whenever you are going to
Okay.
write down a select query. Otherwise, it's giving an error. So that's the
Mhm.
reason we use the corresponding fields of.
Okay.
Okay, spot. 2301. Okay, okay. So if I go back, F8. So now I'm going to take, what is the number? 45401782. Let me see in the table level also. Is we get last record in the table or not? Let me limit the entries. Let me delete this. Okay. Totally we'll be having a 2000 records more than. Okay, let me wait for some time. It's loading. Thousand three hundred and one. Okay, so let me drag to bottom. What some striking nature. Okay, this is the way how you can get those record. If you want particular record, okay, you want particular record, you can use in the where condition as parameter, or you can directly hard code also. For example, if I open in another session, EKKO display. For example, I want to see only particular record. So in those cases, so directly you can use the where condition. For example, I want to get particular record. Okay, so in those cases, directly you can hard code or you can use in the parameter also. Both are possible. Where EBLN equal to, I'm going to get this record. Okay, activate this, execute this. Is that the same record which we passed? 45011, same record we get. Okay, we want particular record. If you have any parameter, so you can go that also. Parameters. PEBLN type data element. Okay. And replace the hard-coded value with the parameter. So whatever the value which I'm giving in the parameters, I'm going to get this. Okay. PEBLN. Let me check the syntax and activate, execute 4506 this time. So now I'm getting the 4506. Okay, whatever the value which I am giving in the selection screen, that is also possible. And for example, if I hard code this VBELN equal to, for example, if I give the value which is not there in the table, okay. Next, EB. So I'm explaining this AND operator. So how it plays major role, I'll show you. Okay. This thing plays major role. F8. So I'm not getting any data. Okay. Still, the 4511 is there in the database table, but it is not giving any data. See, wherever, okay, in the if, similarly in the select query, whenever you are using the AND operator, okay, whenever you are using the AND operator, this both conditions has to be satisfied. Then only it will fetch the data. Okay. For example, in our case, it has to satisfy the 45011 and it has to satisfy 436. Both should exist in the database table, then only it will fetch the data. Otherwise, it's not able to fetch the data and has to satisfy both the conditions. Because of this reason, 45011 is there in the database table, 436 is not there in the database table. So that's the reason it's filling empty. Okay. This is about the AND operator. The second one is OR. Okay. OR. This two operators plays major role in it. So you have to careful with when we have to use and when we have to use or when we go and what happened when we give or what happened. So you have to check that. Then only you could know that. Perfect. So now you can see I'll get the 45011. Okay. Because in the EBLN it's not there in the database. So that's the reason it is not coming. Okay. So the concept of R in the above, either it has to satisfy one condition. At least one condition should be satisfied. If the condition is satisfied, at least one condition is satisfied, it's going to be fetch the data. In the AND case, it has to satisfy both. In the OR case, it has to satisfy at least one. Understand this?
Yep.
And if I give the correct value with the AND operator, okay? If I give the correct value with the AND operator, for example, if I replace with and replace with the same value, okay? So now, let me check. 450 T. Why it's not coming? Do you know that? Because we are telling to the query, I'm going to receive only single record. But you're trying to retrieve the multiple records, 11 and 18. Can we able to get that? No, right? Because we are writing select single. Okay. In those cases, even though the data is there, because of your where condition, it is going to dissatisfied. For example, if I declare an internal table LTEKKO type table of EKKO, okay, I'm going to use here as table LTEKKO, okay. Let me remove this single. We don't need single record. Okay, let me use the loop also because we want multiple. Okay, let me see what's the error. LSEKKO is already declared into LSEKKO. Let me check the syntax and activate. Let me put the breakpoint here. F8. Okay. Execute. LTEKKO as of now 0. Still, I'm not getting. Um, let me use the R in this cases. Let me see what happens. F8. F8. Okay, so in the LTEK cable, let me try to pass. Now I'm getting the two reports.
But in case of and also it should work because
It has to satisfy. I don't know what
because
happened.
even equals this or this. And okay, even this and this.
Yeah,
Or is but yeah, we are using same field, right? So in same field, it or will accept. Yeah, or will accept, right? And it should be the
yeah.
way even equals this and that something
Whenever
was
you are
like some other.
using the AND operator, it's not checking the for the same field.
Correct, yeah. For same field, it won't check, yeah.
Whenever you are using AND, you are comparing with the another field data.
Correct, yeah.
So,
So
but
if
in the
I
R
wanted
is
if
different.
another field like box or
Yeah.
something, then EBLN equals this and box equals it, then that particular record for that particular row will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Understood, yeah.
So if you see here, so we are getting the multiple record, two records. For example, if we are using the this internal table, if you want single record, you can use up to one rows like this. Okay. For the internal table, if you want. If you want to use in the where condition, you can use that also. Okay. 782. And we are using this one, right? This is the and or operators. And you will be having the greater than, less than also. For example, where EBLN, I'm going to retrieve less than this 45018. So what are the values before the 45018? I want to retrieve all those records. So you can use the LE for the less than or equal to. Equal to means the value which you are specifying, it will consider that value also. Okay, for example, 45018. Let me activate this, execute this. Okay, so in this, I'm going to LTEK cable. It's fetching all the records. Huh? No, right? Okay, let me see in the table level also how many records we have before the 4508. Okay, how we can
Mhm.
make the condition to the less than, greater than, not equal to, like that, right? So here, just pass those value here. Here we'll be having the multiple selection, right?
Mhm.
You can click on this. Here we'll be having the define selection groups, right? Define selection options.
Mhm.
You can click on this. Here we'll be having the operators, whether you want to get single value, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, greater than, less than, not equal to. This option will be plays major role. This is very helpful. So in our case, what is our operator, less than or equal to, right? You can double click on this. Okay. You can enter those value. Okay. After
Yep.
this, you can click on the copy. Okay. You can check the number of entries. How many entries we have? 554. Okay. If you see in the debugging also, we retrieve the 554 only. Here, if you see here, 554 records, right? The same records will be coming.
Yep.
Okay. But this is less than or equal to. So you can also use the like this operator. Okay. For the less than or equal to. You can use the operator or you can use the comparators also. The same value we get. There is nothing change in it. Okay. But if you use the less than or equal to, whatever the value which we was given, it is considered to that particular value also. Okay, that is what the meaning of equal to. For example, if I remove this one, okay, if I remove this one, I'll get error. No, let me check this syntax and activate. Okay, in this case, it's not going to be considered. Okay, even though we check in the debugging also. For example, LTEK cable. If I process this, so now you can see the records are 553 only. Previously, we have 554. Whenever you are using the less than or greater than or equal to whatever the value which you was given to that particular field, it's going to be considered. Okay, that is the meaning of equal to, less than or equal to. Whenever you use less than, I want to get less than to that particular value, it's not going to be considered. If you double click on this, if you want to search any record in the debugging, whether this record is exist in the internal table or not. So you can press the Control F. Okay. This search bar will be open in the debugging itself. So just put this is EBLN, right? So you can put the data into the within the single quotes. So display search results. Okay. If you go with the continue, see no hits found. We are not getting any record. For example, if I search the record which is there in the internal table, what happened? Will it show or not? Let me show you that also. Display result will be shown as a pop-up. So now you can see the record is there, right? Okay, this is the identification, how you check the particular record in the internal table, whether it exists or not. Okay. So similarly, you can apply the greater than also. Okay. For example, if I give the greater than or equal to, let me try to see how many entries we have. Because how many entries we have, you have to cross check with the table level. Okay, how many entries we have when you pass this condition in the table level, whether we get same records or not. If not, there is something mistake in that. You have to cross check according to that. Okay, so before executing our program, let me check here. Okay, so we are applying already less than or equal. If you want to delete this, here will be on a delete selection row, right? It will delete whatever the filter which we applied. Okay, it will be deleted. Now you can apply new. Same, define selection options. So in this case, we are going to have greater than or equal to, which we passed. Greater than or equal to this one, right? Let's pass that value. Okay, and copy. Let's check the number of entries. Oh, 1768 entries we are having. Okay, greater than this. Let me check. LTEKK 1758. Same, right? If I execute this, I'll get those output. Okay. And you can also use the greater than less than. So I want to greater than this value, less than before that value. So you can also use that. For example, if I use the and less than or equal to, I'm going to get 45025. Okay, greater than the 18, less than 25. If I process this, LTEKKO, I'll get 10 records only. Okay, so as we mentioned, the AND records will act as both. Whenever you want interval of values, you can use in the form of greater than, less than. Okay, so for it start with 18, it ends with 25 because we retrieve less than 25. Okay,
Yep.
so
Okay.
any question? So we retrieve the single record for the particular or selected fields, right? So we try to retrieve the single record for all the fields in the table. Okay. Select single star you can use. Star means all the fields. Because you mentioned single, it's retrieve the single record. Okay. Select a single star from what is our database table EKKU into corresponding fields of what's our work area LSEKKU. Let me comment out this thing. So if you want to retrieve, select star. That means you will retrieve all the fields, but you will get only single record because we are using Select single. I want to get only single record. When you don't mention a single, in those cases, you will retrieve the multiple. That means all the records. LSEKKO. So once if I process this, so I'll get all the records. Okay, all the records. Because we printed in the write statement only 4 fields, because of this reason, we get in the output level only 4 fields only. Got the point?
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. The next important topic in the select queries is the joins. Join. So joins are nothing but joining two or more database tables is called as join. Okay. For example, you want to join purchase header and item. You want to show what are the purchase orders. Okay. Header information, item information. So you want to show. So that means it involves the two tables, right? So you want to show it as a one table. So in those cases, you have to use the concept of joins in the ABAP. In order to perform the joins, we'll be having the two types of joins. One is the inner join. The second one is the left outer join. We will be having the difference also. For example, if I say the practical difference between the inner join and left outer join, for example, we have EKKO. In the EKKO, I have this record. Okay. So I'm going to join EKKO with EKPO. Okay. In the EKPO also, this record has to be exist. Okay. When the record matches in the both the tables, it's going to be fetch. For example, if the record is there in the EKKO, if that is not there in the EKPO, it's not going to be fetch. If the record is there in the EKPO, if that record is not there in the EKKO, it's not going to be fetched. It has to match, it has to be there in the both the tables. So it's not compulsory to join two tables. You can take 2, 3, 4 number of as you want. Okay. The most common thing which you have to see is whether we have common field between the tables or not. The prerequisite to perform joins is common field between the tables. Okay, at what basis we want to join? This is a common field between the tables, and that particular field you are going to perform the join. Okay, and for example, in our scenario, we try to perform the two joints and we'll see the practical difference between the joints. Okay. And we need a
Sir, can
file.
we consider this next class from here? Like my network, it's bit horrible today. It's like can hear
Okay.